Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sanity from Alisyn Camerota. For my money, in the weeks since the election, there's been far too much mental masturbation about what Democrats did wrong, or Kamala Harris did wrong, or Biden did wrong, or pollsters did wrong. All of those are important conversations for political strategists to have at some point in the future. But they're not a good use of our energy right now for what we're trying to do today. What we're going to do about Donald Trump installing only his most loyal lackeys to extremely powerful positions and his attempts at complete control of all the levers of government. As we sit here today, I am not convinced that another presidential race will happen 4 years from now. And the reason I think this is not just sheer anxiety, it's because Donald Trump has been quite clear about his plan to never give up power. May I remind everyone of this bit of evidence? If this is how Trump tries to cling to power when he loses, it's hard for me to see him leaving office now that he's won. Furthermore, here are Donald Trump's own words. Okay, in December 2022, on his social media site, Trump called for, quote, the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. He's also repeatedly said out loud that he wants to stay in the presidency for a decade or more. In a speech to Republican donors at Mar-a-Lago, Trump praised Chinese President Xi Jinping for doing away with term limits.
Don't forget, China's great, and Xi is a great gentleman. He's now president for life. No, he's great. Hey, look, he was able to do that. I think it's great. Maybe we'll have to give that a shot someday.
So let's prepare for this possibility with eyes wide open. Here's what the 22nd Amendment says, okay, about presidents only being able to serve 8 years. It says, quote, no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. Uh-oh. Okay, but where's the part about only 8 years? He's not going to try to be elected a third time. He could try to stay beyond 4 years, is my point. What do we do about this? This sounds like a question for Harry Litman, former U.S. attorney at the DOJ, an all-around big-brained guy who knows about legal stuff. He also happens to be someone I used to hang out with at drunken dinner parties in the 90s, so I trust him implicitly. Hi, Harry.
Hi, Alisyn. How are you?
I'm well. Is it possible for Donald Trump to stay in office longer than 8 years total?
Is it possible? You bet. I mean, the last many years have just been time after time of his proposing things and going ahead with them. Now, there's no constitutional path to staying in power. It would be an absolute constitutional assassination. But would he possibly try? Everything he said, including in a joking way, and that's not the only time he said it. He said to other voters, oh, vote for me, and this is the last time you'll have to vote. He has shown himself to be more than serious about. So you're damn right. I think it's possible that we'll see a move like that.
Yeah, I don't think Trump is joking. I don't. Just because you laugh after you say something doesn't mean that you're joking. And by the way, he didn't laugh.
True.
Just because the listeners laugh doesn't mean that you were joking. But Harry, is it me or is the 22nd Amendment, right, is the one that would prevent him theoretically from doing this. But is it me or is the 22nd Amendment awfully vague? No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. Yeah. Where's the part about 8 years?
You know, I think it's clear enough. All the things he's done so far, Alisyn, against the Constitution, giving away classified information, self-enrichment, all the just January 6th itself, it hasn't been sort of exploiting loopholes or finding, ambiguities. He doesn't have that kind of subtlety at all. It's just been like sheer will and going for it.
So, Harry, why aren't you freaking out? I mean, isn't this cause for concern?
Do I look to you like I'm not freaking out? I'm freaking out. He's going after the FBI. He's going after the military. I just resigned from the LA Times because he has made it clear that he's going to make trouble for them, and they capitulated. So I'm not. If it looks to you, here, see the circles under my eyes. I'm not sleeping well at all. I think it's a real. I think it's the biggest crisis for sure of our lifetimes.
And Harry, congratulations. I mean, I'm proud of you for taking a stand against the LA Times. I think that that's very cool because we have to take a stand. I hopped off Twitter because I don't want to, help support a conspiracy theorist whose values are so, misaligned from democracy.
And so now powerful. But thanks, and I do think it's a time for choosing. But it's also, God, we have 2 out of the 5 biggest papers in the country who have been already cowed before he's even taken office. It's just, we really need an independent media, meaning a media that keeps its eye on like what is true, what are the facts here. So it's a woeful state.
Look, here at Sanity, one of the things that I'm trying to do is to get people through this. I think that one thing that has happened since the election, and I don't blame anyone, is that sane people of good conscience have turned away. They're disengaging because truly, for their own mental health, they can't stay engaged in that kind of hyperventilating state. So they've disengaged, and we have no time for that. We have no, I'm trying to help people with some solutions and some suggestions and how we're going to get through this, because otherwise, as we've been discussing, we're in trouble. And so if he tries to stay in office beyond 2028, what happens? I mean, what's our recourse?
Yeah. So first, by the way, power to you, because I feel this too. People are just like, wow, 4 more years and it's so hard. And of course, the stakes are so high. So good on you for keeping people energized. What are the stakes? Look, the U.S. Supreme Court that has gone very far, but has pronounced in one of its finer moments, the Constitution isn't a suicide pact, but that's ultimately going to be what's involved. If the American people want to follow Donald Trump into authoritarian Hungary-style rule, we're fucked. Can I say that on your new show?
Sanity.
Yeah, Vanity permits that. Sanity only when appropriate.
Absolutely.
A very discriminating use of profanity.
We're not animals, but Sanity is happy to use the F-bomb when needed.
Occasionally.
But Harry, when you say that the Supreme Court doesn't believe the Constitution is a suicide mission, what does that mean? When have they? Did they say that?
Look, yes. Look, I think the justices of the Supreme Court, as far as I can tell, the members of the Senate and the House have real contempt for Trump and don't respect him, but are cowed by his power. But at this point for the Supreme Court, that would be the same as saying they permit this and just go home because America is over. So I think they do recognize some divide between Donald Trump and the actual country and democracy, and that certainly 5 of them would be there to, I think, say, we're not all together holding hands and jumping in the Potomac. There are limits. My best guess, and I've been a fierce critic of the Supreme Court, but my best guess is when you came to that point, they would be patriots.
From your lips to God's ears. I mean, I think that what I hear is some wishful thinking there. I hear a lot of Democrats or just non-Trump supporters engaging in wishful thinking. I hear people say, well, he's 78 years old. He'll probably die before 4 years are up. If that's what we're relying on, if we're relying on, Donald Trump to die, fingers crossed, or the Supreme Court to grow some scruples, or any kind of other wishful thinking, it just
scruples, yeah. Well, look, I was behind him at his trial. He is not a healthy man, but I agree with you. His dad lived into his 90s. That's not, I think, a viable plan. But the hypo we're talking about now is, holding a gun to the head of the republic. And for all my skepticism about the Supreme Court, I don't see them pulling that trigger.
I mean, Harry, I want to believe that too. And I'm not trying to be alarmist. I'm really just trying to be eyes wide open so that we're prepared. What can regular people do rather than just sitting and being sitting ducks, hoping that the Supreme Court does the right thing. What can the people watching, regular people, do to try to keep Trump from establishing squatters' rights in the White House?
Well, first, everybody has to insist, and that starts with the media, on truth and facts. So that's one of the reasons I just left the paper I'd been working at, is there was some effort to sort of tack toward Trump and give balance when, you don't balance when one side is not telling the truth. You tell the truth, but you sort of insist on that. Second, you have to really you have to portray him as a loser.
It's harder to cast him, but as a loser now that he's won the popular vote.
No shit. Sorry, more profanity. I'm just
Wow.
lost it now. Then finally, the guardrails that remain, especially the media. Thank you again for Sanity. People are going to watch, and they're different ones now, right? I mean, people are moving away from the CNNs of the world, witness Alisyn Camerota. In my little world, it's a disaster. He's bringing in exactly the people. They're not just arch loyalists. They're not just not competent. They are there to actually destroy the mission of the agencies they're purporting to head. We are talking about what's going to be bedlam in the best of circumstances.
All right, Harry. Thanks for scaring the shit out of us.
Exactly.
Was...
I pass the bottle and continue to do your great stuff here on Sanity.
You too, Harry. I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for this.
My pleasure always.